don't suppose you know what kind of alien life form leaves a green spectral trail in crave sugar water, do you?
Oh, wait, that was on Final Jeopardy last night.
Dad, we have a bug.
Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith play mysterious government agents in charge of keeping tabs on visiting aliens on Earth in the science fiction comedy Men in Black, one of the new movies we'll review this week on Siskel and Ebert. We'll also pay tribute to two of the all-time greatest movie stars, James Stewart and Robert Mitchum, who both passed away this week. I'm Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times.
And I'm Gene Siskel of the Chicago Tribune. For about two-thirds of its running time, Men in Black is absolutely hilarious, remarkably clever, and hip about its premise that a New York cop, played by Will Smith, hooks up with a secret government force called MIB.
Why do you lie to me, Jeeves? I hate it when you lie.
Just hold on a second.
I'm going to count to 3.
He'll do it, Jeeves.
1.
I'm telling you, that man does not look stable.
2.
But you know what? Talk to me. He is just crazy when he's like this.
He's always crazy. Why don't you get a massage? Take a cruise.
3.
Drop the weapon and put your hands on your head.
I warned him.
Drop the weapon!
You warned him.
Don't make me kill you.
You insensitive. You have any idea how much that stings?
Show us the merchandise. You're going to lose another head, G.
That's Tommy Lee Jones as Will Smith's mentor. And here the teacher shows the new recruit around headquarters, beginning with the coffee room.
Wanga.
How you doing, fellas?
Okay.
That's not decaf, is it?
Viennese cinnamon.
At regular intervals, the Men in Black are required to erase the memories of those humans who have actually seen the aliens.
All right, Beatrice. There was no alien. Flash of light you saw in the sky was not a UFO. Swamp gas from a weather balloon was trapped in a thermal pocket and refracted the light from Venus.
Characters in science fiction films are rarely compelling. They almost always have to be stupid to set up the story. But not with Men in Black, and especially not with the mortician character played by Linda Fiorentino.
I knew it. This is an alien, and you guys are from some government agency trying to keep it under wraps.
No.
Now, Men in Black does lose a bit of its energy in its third act, but before that, this is one extremely funny movie. Credit screenwriter Ed Solomon for a smart script and director Barry Sonnenfeld for presiding over the sensational production designed by three-time Oscar nominee Bo Welch. Here's hoping this film brings him his 4th nomination. I suspect it will. Thumbs up for me for Men in Black.
Thumbs up for me, too, although you're right, it's an imperfect film. I mean, they really kind of get bogged down in just trying to resolve things at the end, but
Yeah.
we don't care.
I don't care.
We don't care if they're ever resolved.
Right.
We just want to see more weird stuff,
Yes.
as long as they can
And
keep thinking
funny
it up.
stuff.
Yeah, but it is funny, and Tommy Lee Jones is the anchor here. Totally unsmiling,
Yeah.
unamused,
Good.
objectified, and all of this stuff happens in front of him, and by not reacting, he makes it seem more bizarre.
Yes.
He makes it seem funnier.
Yes, he's got a job to do. And Will
Yeah.
Smith, I know he's getting a lot of attention now. The PR machine's out for him.
That's
it's
right.
worthy. He's worthy of it. He's absolutely charming. He's having a lot of fun in the role. And he's being given, again, by Ed Solomon, both these characters, smart guys. And that's what we want in movies.
This is the movie that Mars Attacks promised to be and wasn't.
Well, I liked Mars Attacks. This is better.
You liked it better. Okay.
No.
Next movie. Our next movie is Wild America, the story of 3 teenage brothers in the 1960s who buy a used movie camera and hit the road looking for footage of wild animals. The movie says it's based on the real-life adventures of the Stauffer family, whose members went on to produce the Wild America TV show. But I wish they just said it was fiction because, frankly, there are adventures in this movie that I doubt ever happened.
Mark, get out of the way! What? No!
Then they go out west to what the movie calls the high country. That explains why there's snow on the ground in August. Well, there is snow up in the mountains, but on the other hand, things that are alive during the summertime climb down below the snow line so they can thaw out. That's what these rattlesnakes should have done.
Timber rattlers. They're drowning by the heat. Well, how do we get over them? I know. All right.
The cave is filled with hibernating bears, in August, of course, who wake up. Well, either the bears are hibernating or they're not. Let's say they are. It's supposed to be the middle of summer. When does it get warm enough that they don't need to hibernate? Wild America is a film that means well, and children may enjoy its animal hijinks. The actors are likable, a lot of the photography is good to look at, but it all just plain seemed phony to me, as if they'd taken a nucleus of real events and inflated them into tall tales.
Yes, I will say that when the movie hits you with who these people really were, you're brought up short.
You thought it was a total fantasy.
Because of just what you said, which is that it doesn't seem real at any point. And again, little ones may enjoy it, but I sat there through much of the picture thinking, oh, come on, this is silly. There's another element. The treatment of the father. Why do the fathers have to be such jerks? Why do the fathers have to be the ones that don't want to let kids do anything? Why is it always that mom wants to? Can you understand that?
Oddly enough, I thought the father had a certain integrity. He loved his kids. He loved his kids. He wanted the best for them. He didn't know exactly what the best was.
He does come around. And again, the film almost saves itself toward the end. Almost. But it's such a cliche to make the father's instinctive response, no, no, no. Coming up next, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon are reluctant dance hosts on a cruise ship loaded with senior citizens in the new comedy, Out to Sea.
It's just like the beach at Normandy. You see, instead of paying for the cruise, I signed us up as dance hosts. Oh. So the cruise is free.
What do you mean it's free, you idiot? We're working here.
We're not working. We're dancing and cavorting.
Oh, you moron. You don't even know how to dance.
Well, that's why I brought you here.
Walter Matthau scams his buddy Jack Lemmon into working as a dance host on a cruise ship in Out to Sea, which is the latest light entertainment from this hard-working comedy team. Out to Sea has some good laughs and is more enjoyable, I think, than their recent grumpy old men comedies. Consider this, then, a measured positive review. Lemmon and Matthau play an odd couple of friends, with Matthau as the bust-out, get-rich-quick schemer who figures out a way to take a free cruise. The problem is Matthau can't dance, and Lemmon doesn't want to. Also, their cruise director is a by-the-book dictator. He's well played by Brent Spiner.
Sorry we're late, but it's a very big boat.
This boat happens to be the flagship vessel of the world's premier cruise line, and I am the cruise director.
Sir, yes, sir.
I have a feeling you two are going to be trouble.
Lemmon, a recent widower, does find some companionship with a widow played by Gloria DeHaven in the film's best performance.
I haven't danced in a long time.
Slow, slow, quick, quick, slow, slow, quick, quick.
As for Matthau, he has his eyes on a high-rolling, middle-aged bombshell played by Diane Cannon. But first he has to get past her tough-as-nails mother, played by the wonderful Broadway actress Elaine Stritch.
I have to get dressed. Why don't you talk to Mom? I'll keep you company. Excuse me.
Okay.
I want you to behave yourself, Charlie. You see, I saw the way you were staring at my daughter's chest.
Oh, I used to be a cardiologist.
Well, that's not much, but there are moments that are sweet in Out to Sea. The Lemmon and Gloria DeHaven relationship is genuinely affecting, and the Brent Spiner character is a well-performed, old-fashioned comic villain. As I said, a measured, positive review from me on Out to Sea.
I liked it too, Gene, and I did like it better than either one of the Grumpy Old Men movies, even though it kind of follows a similar formula. And I also felt Gloria DeHaven was so winning and so attractive in this movie, and she took a cliched role, basically,
to be sure,
and made it real. And I also like Brent Spiner as the cruise director. I love the bit where he sneaks off stage and gives himself an introduction in a fake voice, and then comes on. Now, let's put it together for me is basically what he's saying.
So we're in absolute sync on this review.
Coming up next, we'll look at the thrilling career of the late Jimmy Stewart.
He could wear any costume, soldier, cowboy, baseball player, lawyer, and it always fit perfectly. He could play any emotion, psychological torment, righteous outrage, giddy delight, and we knew exactly what he was experiencing. That's the definition of an actor and of a star, and it was the definition of James Stewart, who died this week at age 89.
All you people don't know about lost causes. Mr. Payne does. He said once they were the only causes worth fighting for.
James Stewart was best known for playing unassuming men with strong ideals who were tested in tough circumstances. For example, the young senator in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Because because of just one plain simple rule. Love thy neighbor.
He won his Oscar playing a newspaper reporter smitten by spoiled heiress Katharine Hepburn in the Philadelphia Story.
It can't be anything like love, can it?
No, it mustn't be. It can't.
Would it be inconvenient?
Terribly.
He was Alfred Hitchcock's favorite actor, appearing in such acclaimed pictures as Vertigo and Rear Window.
A murderer would never parade his crime in front of an open window.
Why not?
Why, for all you know, there's probably something a lot more sinister going on behind those windows.
What? Oh. No comment.
Stewart starred in a string of biographies in the 1950s, playing one decent man after another. He represented the best of American manhood in films like The Glenn Miller Story.
Now listen to this. Now what? Pennsylvania 6, 5,000.
Of course, his most enduring role was in a 51-year-old movie, It's a Wonderful Life. And of course, that's not the title of just a movie. It's the title of the James Stewart story.
That's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clarence.
There are no bad stories out there about James Stewart, no tell-all books waiting in the wings. War hero, husband, he did it all whenever tested in real life. Maybe that's why kids like me who grew up in the 1950s wanted to be like Jimmy Stewart, or wanted to be close to him. Didn't you? Didn't you?
I want to be more like Robert Mitchum. But nevertheless, he was a great man. He was a great actor. And what's interesting is the way that he reinvented his career after World War II, because in the 30s and early 40s, he played basically a nice guy in Philadelphia Story and Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And then, of course, right after the war, It's a Wonderful Life. But then, starting with those westerns in the early 50s, like Winchester 73, and then in the Hitchcock pictures, you saw a dark side to Jimmy Stewart. You saw the anger, you saw the passion, you saw the troubled internal problems of this guy who had been an American icon. And that was the example of growth that made Jimmy Stewart's career so long and so durable, especially in Vertigo, which was his best picture and Hitchcock's best picture. It's interesting that Stewart played so many biographical roles like Glenn Miller and Charles Lindbergh, and here he was really playing the most autobiographical role that Hitchcock ever wrote, because this guy reflects Hitchcock's own obsession with trying to control the women that he was obsessed by.
This was an actor, and he showed it in a variety of circumstances. He could play anything that was thrown at him with a cleanliness, a clean line. You never caught him acting. That's what Capra used to say about him. He was not someone you thought of as an actor.
You're absolutely right, and what's really typical of both of the giants who died this week is the fact that both of them made it look so easy that they didn't always get the credit they deserved for the acting that they did. Coming up next, our favorite Robert Mitchum movies as part of our tribute to the other great star who died this week.
Style adjacent to Beverly Hills on LA's fashionable West Side, the Century Plaza Hotel and Tower, a Westin hotel.
Robert Mitchum was the last great link to the soul of film noir, and when he died on Tuesday, it was the ending of an era. He was my favorite movie star, a man who in his laconic, sleepy-eyed way seemed able to play an astonishing range of characters. Because he made it look so effortless, he didn't always get the credit he deserved, but in his best roles, he gave performances that will be long treasured. Here he is in probably the best film he ever made, The Night of the Hunter from 1955, directed by Charles Lawton, with Mitchum playing a fraudulent preacher with love tattooed on the knuckles of one hand and hate on the other.
These fingers, dear hearts, is always a warring and a tugging one against the other. Now watch 'em. Old brother left hand hates a fighting, and it looks like love's a goner. But wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hot dog loves a winning.
Mitchum was called the soul of film noir, which is the genre of crime, guilt, and the night. Out of the Past, which he made in 1947, was one of the greatest of all noirs, with Mitchum trying to get out of trouble and Kirk Douglas trying to get him right back in again.
Look, I got along before this job. I ate good and I grew as big as you did, and if there's something you don't like, you can say so.
Mitchum was born to play Philip Marlowe, Raymond Chandler's legendary private eye, and he played Marlowe twice, most memorably in Farewell My Lovely, one of the best films of 1975.
I started to think of ways I could break the news about Velma to Moose, but none of them were any good. I forced myself to think of my new client, Marriott. And I knew one thing. As soon as anyone said you didn't need a gun, you'd better take one along that worked.
Mitchum played opposite most of the great stars, including Marilyn Monroe in River of No Return, Deborah Carr in The Sundowners, and John Wayne in El Dorado.
I knew her when she was a kid.
Didn't you know that, J.P.?
I know you never mentioned that. Up until now, I thought you had good taste.
Mitchum started out in a Hopalong Cassidy movie and finished his career in Jim Jarmusch's Dead Man. And in 125 films and 3 TV miniseries, he was confident, subtle, effective, and always professional. He never won an Oscar, and the Academy's failure to give him an honorary one is a disgrace. But he refused to take himself seriously. The last time I saw him at the Virginia Film Festival 4 years ago, he dismissed praise of his career by saying, "One of the greatest movie stars of all time was Rin Tin Tin, so what the hell, it can't be too much of a trick."
The word that I want to focus on that you used in your obituary of him is subtle, because I don't think that people think of him as a subtle actor.
No,
they think
don't.
of him as a big presence or sleepy-eyed or whatever you want to say. But if you look at the Night of the Hunter sequence that you talked about, the love and hate, you'll see that he is silently sending out to us his awareness of that he's playing in front of the kids and the family there. And that subtext is what, of course, makes a character sustaining for an audience and worthy of perceiving that at the not the literal level, we're seeing some other text going on.
He told me at Virginia that up against Kirk Douglas in Out of the Past, Douglas was trying to, and was, in fact, a great actor, and so Mitchum's strategy was to play under him. You couldn't get over him, he said, so I tried to play under him.
And let the audience come to you to be that confident. Yeah. Robert Mitchum's best movie performances were, as Roger mentioned, in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, but there's one picture in the 70s that stands out for me, and it's not available on tape or Laserdisc, and so that's why you haven't seen it in any of his video bits. It's The Friends of Eddie Coyle, English director Peter Yates' look at working-class criminals in Boston.
I'm getting old, you hear? I spent most of my life hanging around crummy joints with a bunch of punks, drinking the beer, eating the hash and the hot dogs, and watching the other people go off to Florida while I'm sweating out I'm going to pay the plumber.
What I treasure about the film and Mitchum's work in particular is that he and it are so grounded in reality. The crime world in reality is a scuzzy world of bums, but you wouldn't know it from Hollywood's glitzy treatment. Robert Mitchum and director Yates strip away the glamour in this film. It's as real a crime character as you're ever going to see. And so, as you think of Robert Mitchum, and if this film comes out on tape, and that's what I'm pleading for, that's the picture to see of the late work of Robert Mitchum.
And his other picture from the 70s, of course, was Farewell, My Lovely. A great man, we're going to miss him. Coming up next, our video pick of the week, the most heartwarming family film of the year.
Video pick of the week is brought to you by Nestle Raisinets. At the movies or at home, Raisinets.
Now it's time for my video pick of the week, and my pick this week is Shiloh, a wonderful film which was released to theaters back in April and is already in video stores. When people ask for a good family film, this is the kind of film I hope they're thinking of. The movie stars Blake Herron as a boy who lives in a rural area and is followed home one day by Shiloh, a dog who belongs to an uneducated hunter who lives on the wrong side of the law. The boy believes correctly that the dog has been mistreated.
Where you been?
Kick him.
That dog needs more than a good kick. This is the third time in the last 3 months he's run off. And man, he is fast.
The boy's father, played by Michael Moriarty, explains to his son that the dog is the other man's property.
You hide the judge's dog, never letting on. What else you keeping from me?
Nothing, Dad.
Well, how do I know that's not another lie?
'Cause it's not.
Oh, yeah, well, you're saying so don't make it true, not now. That's a problem with lying.
Shiloh, it's my video pick of the week. Now let's take another look at the movies we reviewed this week. 2 thumbs up for the bizarre comedy Men in Black with Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith as agents against aliens. 2 thumbs down for the unconvincing Wild America, which starts with a good story and undermines it with very unlikely adventures. And finally, 2 affectionate thumbs up for Out to Sea with Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau in a comedy both funny and surprisingly touching with Gloria DeHaven in a good supporting role. And don't forget, you can now check our votes and hear our reviews of recent movies at our website. It's at www.siskel-ebert.com. That's it for this week. Next week we'll be back with reviews of more new movies, including Contact, a sci-fi thriller with Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey in pursuit of extraterrestrial intelligence. That's next week, and until then, the balcony is closed.